It's no mystery that personal protective equipment is really important on the range, but it wasn't until I started going to the range much more frequently a few years back that I realized just how important it is and why. Now, obviously we wear ear protection because we don't want to damage our hearing. Same reason we wear eye protection, because we don't want to damage our eyes. But not all eye and ear protection is created alike. Call me a Karen, but I'll be the first person to tell you on the range that your Ray-Bans are not adequate eye protection. There are safety ratings for eye protection that's suitable for range use for a reason. Now, I used to think that eye protection was simply to keep brass from coming back and hitting you in the eye, and although it's good for that too, that's not actually the primary reason we use it. We wear eye protection on the range in order to protect our eyes from objects traveling at really high velocities. Oftentimes this looks like bullet fragments traveling back at us, but it can be as extreme as a catastrophic gun malfunction that essentially results in a gun exploding in your hand. Extremely rare, I know, but it's certainly possible. Not to sound dramatic, but without proper eye protection, a situation like that can go from unpleasant to life-altering. So there are two main safety standards applied to eye protection. I won't go super in depth on this, but I do want to offer a basic framework for that in this video. You may have heard of ANSI or Z87 safety glasses if you've ever worked in a construction or similar kind of environment. Most safety glasses that you see available for lower prices probably fall under this safety rating, if at all. And although they can be acceptable for use on the range, it is better to use glasses that are tested to the military or ballistic standards. Ballistic eye protection is not bulletproof, but it is tested using a 0.5-inch diameter projectile traveling at 650 feet per second. The reason I wanted to lay that out in this video is because there is a noticeable difference in price between the ANSI rated eye protection and the ballistic rated eye protection. And if you don't know that there's a big difference between those two, then you may not know why the monetary investment is worth your long-term safety on the range. I have two sets of eye protection that I swap back and forth between simply because they're both rated to the ballistic standard and they're just what I have right now. I have the Oakley M-Frame 3s and the new SIG Rose glasses from Revision. Both of these sets of eye protection run at about $100. With the amount of time that I spend at the range, the investment in my Oakleys has more than paid for itself, and my Rose glasses were actually a gift, and they're definitely a fun girly addition to my range wear. Now, when it comes to ear protection, I'm usually either using a pair of MSA safety muffs with gel ear cups or a pair of Axle in-ear protection. For the most part, I like to use my Axles because I find that in-ear protection is significantly more comfortable for me for long range trips. These days, my muffs really only see use when my Axles didn't get charged or I'm shooting indoors and I need to use two forms of ear protection anyways. Now, something worth mentioning here is that Axles sort of became a more known and popular brand by incentivizing influencers to use their products, which in this industry can really lead to the general population assuming that their product can't actually stand on its own merit, and therefore they sent their products to influencers to increase sales. It's just the world we live in these days. About 2 years ago, I decided to buy a set of Axle in-ear protection to see what the hype was all about, and all in all, I've been fairly happy with them, and I have noticed over the last 2 years or so, a lot of people that are at matches are also using the same Axle in-ear protection. Although my review of the Axle in-ear protection is pretty old, I do have a review I'll link for you up here. I've certainly been happy enough with them that I've pretty much exclusively used them for the last 2 years. They've been reliable and more comfortable than my muffs. Although I would eventually like to pick up a new pair, maybe even try some wireless ones. There are some other popular in-ear brands out there. Namely, the one that I've heard of is called Otto or Oto. I think it's Otto, but OTTO. But they're just pricey enough that I couldn't really see myself buying a single pair of the Otto ear protection for the cost of 2 pairs of the Axle in-ear protection, especially since my Axle in-ear protection has been working so well for so long. At the end of the day, selecting your personal protective equipment that you're going to use on the range is just that. It's personal. I just wanted to share with you guys the things that I have been enjoying using over the last couple of years and that I've gotten great use out of, but I'm also really interested in hearing what you guys like to use on the range. So head down to the comment section below and let me know what you guys are using for your eye and ear protection at the range.